does the validation of that process work? And how can you remove collections and charge-offs and repos and all that kind of stuff in a bag of chips with this process? Well, that's exactly what we're going to go over, because so many people have been asking me how this process works and they just don't understand it. So that is why we're going over this. Not only that, but you can actually access both of these two things that I'm going to show you down in the description right now. Now, wait until the end of this, because I don't want you to miss anything, because this is being asked so many times in my comments that I literally have to go through this, okay? So here's the deal. Validation of debt is not just for collections, okay? And you may be surprised, but that's why we're going to go over this, all right? So here is the deal. First things first, we're going to go and look at your go-to credit sweep cheat sheet. And this is a playbook. So we have the collection tactics playbook, and we have your go-to credit sweep cheat sheet that walks you through step-by-step for creating the perfect dispute letter, your perfect dispute reason, disputing specific account types, and then we have some violations on here as well. But if you're wondering how to dispute specific things like debt buyer collections, third-party collections, removing late payments, charge-offs, you name it, the magic formula that I've used to remove over 50,000 negative items, then this is the one that you're going to look for. And let's go and check out the collection tactics playbook. Now, why are we going over this? Well, it's one thing to just for me to tell you how this works, right? But it's another thing to look at the law and understand it. So let's go and check out the validation of debt specific laws, all right? And again, you can go check this out down in the description, and it even has the links for you to go and get your reports with Identity IQ and Smart Credit. And just so you know, that yes, those are my affiliate links. All right, so how does this work? Well, there's two very specific laws that are on your side here, okay? Now, just so you know, that is the link for the cheat sheet. It's sendme2.co/get my cheat sheet. All right. But when we look at the playbook, this is for, again, writing dispute letters, writing dispute reasons, and credit sweep secrets. And the validation of debt and collections playbook is going to help you to remove collections, charge-offs, and deal with data furnishers and collectors. It has a full VOD method and dispute letters, 24 FCRA and FDCPA violations, and how to dispute and remove collections, okay? So let's go back and check this out. All right, let's start at the beginning. There's two very specific laws on your side, and they're hidden in between hundreds of pages of legal mumbo jumbo, and that's why we're breaking this down. And I did not write this myself. I did take it from a book. I did cite the book that I took it from, but it's just for understanding of how this entire thing works. Okay, so now we are dealing with the Fair Credit Reporting Act and the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. Okay, so the FCRA, this is a document that explains the rules and the laws that the credit bureaus have to abide by, and this is what we're referred to when we're dealing with, Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. And the FDCPA, this is the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. This document explains the rules and laws that your creditors and collectors are required to abide by. Okay, so this is definitely something that I would recommend for you to go through, but I've taken all the heavy lifting out of this and put it into, just a very simple way to access. All right. So these are the two things that we're dealing with: FCRA section 623A3 and FDCPA section 8078 and 807. Okay. So let's go and check out FCRA section 623A3. So it says responsibilities of furnishers of information to consumer reporting agencies. Duty to provide notice of dispute. So many people ask me, what do I do? Just put notice of dispute, delete? No, you don't put notice of dispute, delete. You need to understand what that notice of dispute is and why it needs to be there to begin with. And let's see if I can make this just a little bit bigger on here for you to read. All right. So let's go back to the FCRA. All right. If the completeness or accuracy of any information furnished by any person to any consumer reporting agency is disputed to such person by the consumer, meaning if you dispute it with the data furnisher or the bureaus, the person may not furnish the information to any consumer reporting agency without notice that such information is disputed by the consumer. So when you hear me talk about section 623, A3, this is what I'm talking about. When you hear me talking about the notice of dispute, this is what I'm talking about. Now, let's go and just break that down real quick. If the completeness or accuracy of any information furnished by any data furnisher to any credit bureau is disputed by you, the data furnisher may not continue to report the information to the credit bureaus without that notice that this information is disputed by you. So if they do not enter that notice of dispute in the time frame that we're about to go over, then they cannot report it. And 9 times out of 10, they're not going to report it. And specifically with this process, they're not going to report it. All right. Now, just pausing there real quick, in case you did not know, you can head over to my740.com, schedule a call with me, and see if I can personally handle this entire thing for you if you do not wish to do this yourself. Now let's go check out FDCPA section 807. All right. False or misleading representations, communicating or threaten to communicate to any person credit information which is known or which should be known to be false, including the failure to communicate that a disputed debt is disputed. All right. This literally says the same thing. My advice is not to read the FCRA, FDCPA unless you want to be bored out of your mind. But if you do, you'll probably notice that there are a couple of other laws that could potentially help you. It doesn't matter. I only deal with these two above, and they were great. So here's how. Part number 1. This law deals directly with the banks, credit card companies, and collection agencies. Now, the big key here is that they're required to contact the credit bureaus on your behalf and make sure that they add the sentence to your credit report within 30 days that says you disputed the negative item in question. Now, this sentence would appear something like this. Consumer has disputed the validity of this item. They almost never add the sentence. And guess what? 90% of the time, again, they don't add this sentence. Okay. Now, sometimes they do it within 60 days, but that's too bad for them because by law, they have to do it within 30 days. Now, you hear me say this all the time. Just because there's the existence of a law doesn't mean that, as soon as there's a violation, something's going to happen. No, otherwise, there wouldn't be this process. There wouldn't be multiple letters. We wouldn't have to sue anybody, so on and so forth. Okay. We're simply going to prove that they didn't do it within 30 days. And then now they're going to be liable to you for damages for up to $1,000 per occurrence. Okay. Now, it's important to note that you're allowed to dispute anything on your credit report. It technically doesn't matter if it's something that you know to be true and accurate. The responsibility is on the creditor to maintain accurate records and to follow the law within the required timeframes, right? And that's why this all has to do with timeliness and it's a process. It's the same thing as any other process. Okay. Now, the other great thing is we're going to be asking the creditor some hard-hitting questions and requesting very specific information from them, such as copies of your cash checks showing that you actually paid something late, or, that the late fees you want to remove. And sometimes we'll even require that the creditor provide a copy of the contract that you physically signed, agreeing to their payment terms when you open the account. Now, of course, they're really never going to send you any of those things, and we really don't care about any of it. It all comes down to the timing, which is specifically 30 days. And if they don't provide it, now we're going to go after them for that failure to enter the notice of dispute and the failure to furnish the documentation. Okay. And, many credit card agreements were digitally signed through a website. So it's going to be very difficult for them to contact their IT department and produce a printout showing evidence that you digitally signed something. All right. So if they don't, it gets worse for them. And you'll also notice in part 2 that it's very similar to part 1. So about part 1. It deals with the credit bureaus directly. What I personally love most is that there's a chain of custody, meaning that the more people are involved, the result is better chance of the sentence not being added in time, right? So you contact your bank and they have to contact the credit bureaus and the credit bureau has to act in time. But let's move on to part 2 of the plan, which I like to implement part 2 only if part 1 has failed, okay? So part 2, FCRA 623 AC. This law is very similar to the FDCPA above. It requires the credit bureaus to report that you disputed something on your credit report. And this is after you contacted them directly. They need to add that sentence to your credit report. Now, the big key here again is that the credit bureaus are required to add it within 30 days that you disputed the item, right? Now, they almost never do. Again, 9 times out of 10, they will not do it in time. And the same thing applies as it did in part 1. We're simply going to prove that they didn't do it within 30 days, and now they're going to be liable to you for damages for up to $1,000 per occurrence. Now, I actually had someone the other day saying, well, what if I don't want them deleted? What if I want the $1,000? Well, okay, now you're gonna have to sue them. Okay, that's the answer to that. Now, before you get excited about winning $1,000 from the credit bureaus and creditors each time, think about this. What if you told them that they can keep their stupid money, right, and instead just permanently remove your bad credit marks? What do you think they're going to do? Obviously, they're going to remove that bad credit mark. They do not want to pay you. They do not want to go on public record as having lost a court case to you. They don't want this publicized. They don't want to send out, a legal team. All they have to do is remove it from your credit report, and that's it. Done deal. If the credit bureau or creditor decides to play hardball and not remove the item, you can remind them of how easy it is to put out a press release, and imagine how many new disputes they're going to get from the thousands of other people who read your press release. Okay. And now, yes, there's a very specific way that you're going to handle this by either contacting the bureaus first or the creditor first or the collector first. If you want to access that information, you are going to want to go to sendme2.co/collections. Okay. So the other one is sendme2.co/get my cheat sheet to access this one, the go to credit sweep cheat sheet, which is a playbook. That's the one that literally shows you how to write your dispute letters to get results virtually all the time. This one is specifically for collections, or what I put together for collections that also will work for disputing using the validation of debt. Okay. Now, part 3, if by some miracle, both the bureaus and the creditors do add the disputed sentence to your credit reports within the 30-day time frame, we have another avenue. Keep in mind that 99.9% of the people reading this will never resort to this. You're going to go down to your local courthouse and you're going to file small claims. I also tell you how to do that in this guide. Okay. Now, we're going to go and skip this part, and I just want to explain something very, very, very simple. Okay. This can work for literally anything on your credit report. It doesn't matter what you dispute, they have to put that notice of dispute. In this guide, I also go over how can a collection be removed, okay? And if we want to take a look at that just real quick, we actually talked about this the other night, but as far as this goes, there's no reason why a collection agency can't legally and ethically use an option in their system, which has delete account for reasons other than fraud, to remove it from your credit report. And the Metro 2 docs do support the deletion of accounts that have been returned to the creditor and or sold to another collector. And of course, this isn't amidst a bunch of blah, 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 but it's imperative that you remember that only inaccurate accounts be deleted, which is what Experian wants, everybody to know. So that's why we also deal with factual based disputes. All right. So again, without it being unverifiable, what about incomplete? The bureaus don't want these things to be removed. And this is why this information is so golden. All right. So I'm literally giving you all these secrets. Okay. It's your job to go through this and read through these violations. We have 24 different violations on here that you can check through to see if, any of these actually apply to your case. And I'm telling you, 9 times out of 10, there's going to be something on here, such as this very last one under Part B, reporting a late payment when collection accounts are actually closed ended and cannot be late, unlike open-ended credit card accounts. That's a FCRA violation. Okay. So I see that one literally all the time. And this is how you end up, disputing collections, the actual dispute process. All you got to do is actually click on this and they'll open. Another thing is that I give you all of the VOD dispute letters here. So we have Part 1, Letter 1, and you can find Part 1, Letter 1 online, on the internet, wherever, for free. But let's look at this. We have Part 1, Letter 2A, and this is if you receive a letter back from the creditor in reply to Letter 1 saying your account was verified as legitimate. We have another one if they continue to verify the item without proof. We have another one if they respond with proof, but wait until the 31st day and make sure that they have not marked the item as disputed on your credit reports. We also have, when they say that your account was verified as legitimate. Then we also have when you sue them. We also have when you submit a press release. We have a lot of stuff that we have at our disposal to remove these things from our credit reports, especially when right now it's a lot more difficult to handle, removing things from credit reports, either your own or for, clients or whatever. Okay. After COVID, a lot of things changed, including the ability to get results. And that's why you really need to know about these things. I also tell you who you shouldn't be using this VOD process with, and how to, be careful with this. So if you want to access either one of these, because a lot of people were asking what's the difference between this playbook that I put out yesterday, the collection tactics playbook, and the difference between that and this one over here, your go-to credit sweep cheat sheet. Let me just explain it again real quick. This one is for collections. Although you can use the VOD process, validation of debt process, to dispute with the bureaus, the creditors, and the collectors. All right. We're using these two laws that I use to dispute literally everything. This is my 100% gold mine for removing accounts from credit reports. Okay. The other one is going to be a literal step-by-step guide on how to dispute, what you're looking for, creating your perfect dispute letter, what goes where, what you should include, what you should not include, different examples, how to dispute specific negative items, what you should be looking for, such as with debt by collections, past due, a limit, late payments, the reasons why you would be able to remove it. And then we have FCRA violations that are not listed on under the validation of debt. All right. We have different dispute letter examples. We have this formula that I use to remove over 50,000 negative items in just under 4 years, creating your dispute reasons, so on and so forth. So if there were ever two things that you would ever get from me, it's going to be these two things. Because, hey, guess what? It literally covers everything. So if you want the secrets of the trade, if you want the secrets for credit sweeps, if you want the secrets for removing collections, then you are going to want to check these things out. The first one, again, sendme2.co/get my cheat sheet. And this other one, validation of debt and how to dispute collections, is going to be that same link, but /collections. sendme2.co/collections. All right. So for right now, that is it. I wanted to specifically go over these two things and give you that basically that one thing that I use to remove virtually all negative items from credit reports and why it works. So again, if you want to learn how to write your dispute letter, your dispute reason, or get credit sweep secrets, then you're going to want to go to this link. And if you want to check out the collections playbook, then you're going to want to go to /collections. But that is it. If you want to see if I can personally do a credit sweep for you, use the link at the top of the screen, and I will see if I can, increase your score and remove your negative items. And obviously, if I can't, I will point you in the right direction. All right. But this is the entire purpose of, the comments on my videos, because it tells me what it is that you guys are having issues with. All right. So I hope you have a great evening. I will see you later. And that's the end of this live broadcast. Bye.